Hi, I'm Buzzy the Knowledge Bug. Welcome to the airport. This is a very busy place. People coming and going, planes landing and taking off, helicopters, seaplanes, jet airplanes, hangars. There's so much to explore at the airport, so let's get going. Here's the parking garage. There's always people coming and going. People picking up their friends and relatives, and passengers who need to leave their cars here while they're away on trips. Parking garages at airports hold a lot of cars, up to 10,000 of them in some big city airports. Good thing there's plenty of parking near the terminal. That way, people don't have to carry their luggage very far. With so many cars in here, it's easy to forget where you park. Here's the parking garage. There's always people coming and going. People picking up their friends and relatives, and passengers who need to leave their cars here while they're away on trips. Everybody who parks in the parking lot at the airport has to pay a fee when they leave. And here's where they do it, at the toll booth. A building like this one that has more than one level of parking is called a parking garage. Everybody who parks in the parking lot at the airport has to pay a fee when they leave. And here's where they do it, at the toll booth. I wonder what that pigeon's doing here. I bet he's waiting for a ride. When a driver is ready to leave, he stops at the toll booth and gives the attendant the ticket he got when he first came in to park. When the driver pays his toll money, the arm of the gate swings up and he can drive away. Everybody who parks in the parking lot at the airport has to pay a fee when they leave. And here's where they do it, at the toll booth.
Hello, that's a nice car.
Where can I get my tires rotated?
Sure, first you take a left and go about 2 miles, then you take a left and go about 2 miles, and then you take a left and go about 2 miles.
Why, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed your stay at the airport. Okay, that'll be $5, please.
A lot goes on in the front of airports. People hurrying, cars driving. Sometimes it can be busier than a beehive. It was only 100 years ago when no one had ever flown a plane. And now look, now people not only fly planes, they fly rockets to the moon. A lot of folks like to check in their luggage right here at the curb. People can usually only park in front of the airport long enough to load or unload their luggage. Looks like this guy can't decide whether he's coming or going. A lot of folks like to check in their luggage right here at the curb. People can usually only park in front of the airport long enough to load or unload their luggage. Looks like this guy can't decide whether he's coming or going. A lot goes on in the front of airports. People hurrying, cars driving. Sometimes it can be busier than a beehive. Well, Curbside Check-in. This is one place where passengers can check in their bags before their flights. The person who checks in the bags in the front of the airport is called a sky cap. When the bags are checked in, the sky cap attaches a tag on each suitcase so that it gets sent to the right airplane. After a tag is attached to a suitcase, it's sent on its way on the conveyor belt back to the baggage handling area. Well, Curbside Check-in. This is one place where passengers can check in their bags before their flights. When the bags are checked in, the sky cap attaches a tag on each suitcase so that it gets sent to the right airplane.
I would like a double tall latte, please.
No, we don't serve double tall lattes here. This is the Curbside Check-in.
Are these bags small enough to fit in the overhead compartment?
If not, you can check it with me.
Welcome to the lobby of the airport. This is one busy place. Passengers can buy tickets and check in for their flights at the ticket counter. There's an escalator to the parking garage and to the concourse where people board the planes.
If anyone's lost a teddy bear with red overalls, please come to the ticket counter.
Check out those mobiles. They kind of look like birds. I'll bet people have wanted to fly since the first human saw the first flying bird. Welcome to the lobby of the airport. This is one busy place. Passengers can buy tickets and check in for their flights at the ticket counter. There's an escalator to the parking garage and to the concourse where people board the planes. In big city airports, about 50,000 passengers come and go in a single day. Phew! That's a lot of people. Long before airplanes were invented, people tried flying by putting on wings made of paper, wax, and feathers, or by building giant kites. It took people thousands of years to learn how to fly. But look at them now. In big city airports, about 50,000 passengers come and go in a single day. Phew! That's a lot of people. Welcome to the lobby of the airport. This is one busy place. Passengers can buy tickets and check in for their flights at the ticket counter. There's an escalator to the parking garage and to the concourse where people board the planes.
So, let's do lunch.
Captain Alvarez, Captain Alvarez, please contact
Parking.
the airline desk.
Parking. Before anyone goes to the gate area where the airplanes are, they have to go through the security check. That's where the security officers, who are sometimes called freeboard screeners, make sure that no one is bringing anything dangerous on board.
Captain Alvarez, Captain Alvarez, please contact the airline desk.
Every purse, bag, or piece of luggage that someone carries back to the gate has to go on a short trip on a conveyor belt so it can be x-rayed. After it's x-rayed, the passenger picks it up on the other side of the conveyor belt.
Mr. Spielberg, Mr. Stanley Spielberg, please phone home. Mr. Spielberg, Mr. Stanley...
Sometimes regular stuff like keys or coins will make the metal detector beep. If that happens, the person just empties out his pockets and walks through again. Of course, he gets it all back.
Paging Mr. Waldo. Mr. Waldo, where are you?
Before anyone goes to the gate area where the airplanes are, they have to go through the security check. That's where the security officers, who are sometimes called freeboard screeners, make sure that no one is bringing anything dangerous on board. This is the X-ray machine. As every piece of luggage passes through the X-ray machine, a picture of what's inside shows up on the TV screen. Hey, the view screen looks like a TV. I want to watch cartoons. This is the X-ray machine. As every piece of luggage passes through the X-ray machine, a picture of what's inside shows up on the TV screen. I wonder if they have cable. X-ray machines in airports work just like X-ray machines in hospitals. They both look inside something. At airports, they look inside luggage and see things like cameras. And at hospitals, they look inside bodies and see things like bones. Hey, the view screen looks like a TV. I want to watch cartoons. Gates A through B. Here we are in the concourse. The concourse is where the gates are located. Each and every flight leaves from and arrives at an area called a gate. And that's where you see all those people waiting. Good thing they have all those chairs. Sometimes at an airport, people have to wait a long time.
Would the owner of a small purple car please come to the check-in counter?
People fly for all kinds of reasons. Vacation, to visit family, or on business. Me, I fly because it's the only way I know how to get around.
Humongous entertainment. Your charter plane is ready.
Usually in an airport concourse, you can also find magazine stands, gift shops, restrooms, and restaurants.
Mr. Spielberg, Mr. Stanley Spielberg, please phone home.
Here we are in the concourse. The concourse is where the gates are located. Each and every flight leaves from and arrives at an area called a gate. And that's where you see all those people waiting.
A wheelchair is needed at Gate K. There is a green...
Usually in an airport concourse, you can also find magazine stands, gift shops, restrooms, and restaurants.
Miss Wood, Miss Hollywood, please meet your multimedia...
People fly for all kinds of reasons. Vacation, to visit family, or on business. Me, I fly because it's the only way I know how to get around.
Would the owner of a small purple car please come to the red...
Good thing they have all those chairs. Sometimes at an airport, people have to wait a long time. Here we are in the concourse. The concourse is where the gates are located. Each and every flight leaves from and arrives at an area called a gate. And that's where you see all those people waiting. Here we are at the gate. This is where departing passengers wait before they get on the airplane. And it's also where the arriving passengers come when their plane lands.
Passengers continuing on from Flight 77 should go to the ticket counter.
Flight 412 from Butte, Montana to Flushing, New York has...
Over there is the jetway. That's where the passengers will go to get onto the plane. As the passengers board, a customer service agent stands at the doorway and checks everyone's ticket to make sure they're getting on the right flight. Here we are at the gate. This is where departing passengers wait before they get on the airplane. And it's also where the arriving passengers come when their plane lands.
Oh, dear.
Passengers from Flight 212 should continue on to baggage claim.
When a passenger arrives at the airport, he has to show the ticket agent his ticket. Passengers can do this either in the lobby or right here at the gate.
Attention, Charter Flight 21, flying to the rainforest of South America, Africa, and Asia, has started boarding at Gate Q.
Paging Mr. Waldo. Mr. Waldo, where are you?
Flight 412 from Butte, Montana to Flushing, New York has been detoured to the Bahamas due to bad weather. We apologize for the delay.
Hey, here we are at the entrance to the plane. Ready to board. I wonder where it's going. I hope someplace where they have a lot of bugs. Now that's my idea of a good vacation. Check out that door. It's got an escape chute, in case anyone needs it. Doesn't happen very often at all, but it's sure nice to know it's there. Hey, here we are at the entrance to the plane. Ready to board. I wonder where it's going. I hope someplace where they have a lot of bugs. Now that's my idea of a good vacation. Sometimes you'll see a wheelchair waiting at the entrance to a plane. At airports, they're often used for people who have a hard time walking long distances and need a little extra help. Hey, I can see the cockpit from here. That's where the pilot and the co-pilot sit. It's definitely where the action is. Hey, here we are at the entrance to the plane. Ready to board. I wonder where it's going. I hope someplace where they have a lot of bugs. Now that's my idea of a good vacation. Check out that door. It's got an escape chute, in case anyone needs it. Doesn't happen very often at all, but it's sure nice to know it's there. We're on the airplane. This is where the passengers sit. Each passenger has their own seat, their own tray table, and an area above their seat to store their carry-on baggage. In the back of every seat is a seat pocket. Inside it are safety tips about the airplane and usually a magazine that passengers can take with them at the end of the flight. All right, we're on the airplane. This is where the passengers sit. Each passenger has their own seat, their own tray table, and an area above their seat to store their carry-on baggage. Up there is the passenger control unit. Passengers can switch on and off a reading light or push a button to call the flight attendant. Those tray tables over there can be used to put drinks and meals on, as well as to write, color, or play on. The only rule about the trays on airplanes is that they have to stay up when the plane takes off and when it lands. All right, we're on the airplane. This is where the passengers sit. Each passenger has their own seat, their own tray table, and an area above their seat to store their carry-on baggage. Here is the galley of the airplane. Galley is another word for kitchen. Flight attendants make coffee back here for the passengers. And on longer flights, they put the passengers' meals together back here. It's an awfully tiny place to have so much happening. Even if you don't get a meal, on most flights, the passengers are at least served drinks and a snack, like peanuts or pretzels. There are two kinds of service trolleys on airplanes. One that holds drinks and another that holds meals. Fortunately for the flight attendants, the meals are already cooked when they're loaded onto the airplane. All they have to do is warm them up in the microwave, pop them into one of those service carts, and pass them out to hungry passengers. Here is the galley of the airplane. Galley is another word for kitchen. Flight attendants make coffee back here for the passengers. And on longer flights, they put the passengers' meals together back here. It's an awfully tiny place to have so much happening. There are two kinds of service trolleys on airplanes. One that holds drinks and another that holds meals. A seat is something that a person sits on. A chair is a type of seat. Benches and sofas are also kinds of seats. On an airplane, each passenger is assigned his or her own seat for the trip. Seat belts keep drivers and passengers safe. Seat belts hold people in, close to their seat. This way, they can't fall out of their seats if there's a quick stop or an accident. The seat pocket is a storage place for each passenger. Inside the seat pocket is a safety guide which shows what to do in an emergency. There may also be a magazine that the airline prints especially for its passengers. A security camera is a special video camera that is used in an area that needs to be kept safe, like a parking garage. When there are many security cameras in different parts of the parking garage, a guard can look at the pictures from all of the cameras at once and be on the lookout for people who might need help. A service trolley is a little cart on wheels that holds food and drinks. On an airplane, the flight attendant rolls the service trolley down the aisle and brings food and beverages to passengers. A sidewalk is a path that has been built for people so they can safely walk alongside a street or road. Sidewalks are usually made of cement, but can also be made of bricks or stones. A sink is shaped like a big bowl. The faucet on top brings water to the sink, which people use for drinking and for cleaning things. Sinks are used for washing hands, shaving, brushing teeth, rinsing off food, washing dishes, and even washing clothes. The sink in an airplane is usually small and is usually just used for washing hands. The two runners on the sides of the helicopter are called skids. They let the pilot land smoothly on flat or bumpy surfaces. A skycap is a worker at the airport who helps passengers with their luggage. The skycap carries the luggage, puts a baggage ticket on it with the passenger's flight number, and makes sure it gets to the right airplane. Slats are small flaps on the front edges of the wings. They are raised and lowered to help lift the plane into the air during takeoff. A spoiler is on the top surface of the wing. Spoilers are used to create drag, a force that slows down the plane while it's flying. A pilot would want to slow down the plane as the plane starts landing on the runway. When the spoilers are raised, the wind doesn't flow smoothly over the wing, and the plane can't fly as fast. The spoilers are lowered again when the pilot no longer needs to slow down the plane. The steering wheel is used only while the plane is on the ground. It lets the pilot control the direction of the wheels in the landing gear and steer the plane on and off the runway. Streets are used by people when they drive their cars, bicycles, trucks, buses, and motorcycles from one part of a city to another. In some places, even horses and buggies can be seen on the street. Sometimes parades and races are held on city streets. A strut is a bar or rod used for support. On an airplane, struts are connected to the wings to give them strength as the plane flies. Suitcases are one type of luggage. A suitcase is used to hold clothes, shoes, books, toys, and other important things that people pack and take on trips. Unless very small, suitcases should be given to the person behind the ticket counter or at a curbside check-in instead of carried on the plane. The rear of the plane, called the tail, is made up of two sections. One section, the fin, stands straight up from the tail. The other, called the tailplane, extends from each side of the fin like a pair of small wings. The tail rotor is a set of small rotor blades on the tail of the helicopter. They help turn the helicopter while it is in flight. They also keep the helicopter from spinning around and out of control when the main rotor blades are turning. The tailplane is part of the airplane's tail. It sticks out from the side like small wings. Movable flaps on the tailplane, called elevators, are raised and lowered to tilt the plane's nose up or down. This makes the plane climb higher into the air or down toward the ground. A taxicab is a car that people must pay to ride in. Inside the taxicab is a special machine called a taximeter that keeps track of the cost of the ride. At the end of the ride, the passenger pays the driver the amount of money that shows on the taximeter. This is called the fare. Another word for taxicab is taxi. Pilots taxi or drive their airplanes slowly along the taxiway in order to reach the runway. From the runway, airplanes take off and land. Narrow taxiways are sometimes called taxi strips. Workers in the tower use the telephone when they need to call someone for information or if someone calls them with a question. There's a lot of activity going on at the terminal. This is where passengers find out when a flight is leaving or arriving, where they need to go to get on the right plane, and which way they should go to get their luggage. Passengers can also buy tickets, books, and magazines, and even meals inside the terminal. The throttle is like a gas pedal in a car. It controls the speed of the plane's engines. There are usually several levers, each one controlling a different engine. Each lever can be moved by hand, so the pilot can speed up or slow down each engine during takeoff, in flight, or when landing. A ticket shows that the passenger has paid to take a trip on the airplane. Passengers must show their ticket to the flight attendant before they are allowed to get on the plane. The ticket is printed with the name of the airline, the flight number, the name of the city where the plane will be landing, and the time the plane is supposed to take off. The ticket counter is where passengers buy tickets to take a trip. Printed on the ticket is the name of the airline company, the flight number, the name of the city where the airplane will be landing, and the time the plane will leave the airport. Here, a customer service agent can help passengers choose where they want to sit on the plane and check their luggage. The ticket desk is a counter at the gate where passengers with only carry-on baggage can check in before their plane trip. Check-in lets the flight attendants know who will be on the plane, how much food is needed, and how much fuel the plane needs. Once the passengers have checked in, they wait in the lounge until it's time for their flight to leave. The toll booth is where the controls for the toll gate are. When people drive their cars into the parking garage, they are not charged any money. But at the exit of the garage is the toll gate and the toll booth. The parking attendant takes the toll payment for the time the car was parked inside. Then the parking attendant raises the toll gate and the car can exit the parking garage. The toll gate is where drivers stop to pay their toll. When the toll has been paid, the gate lifts up so the driver can go through. The tool chest is a handy place for the mechanic to store tools. Wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, and socket sets are usually kept in a tool chest. With all the tools in a tool chest, they are easy to find the next time they are needed. Sometimes a tool chest is called a toolbox. The tool chest is a handy place for the mechanic to store tools. Wrenches, screwdrivers, pliers, and socket sets are usually kept in a tool chest. With all the tools in a tool chest, they are easy to find the next time they are needed. Sometimes a tool chest is called a toolbox. Most airplane passengers sit in tourist class during the flight. They are served meals, snacks, and drinks, and they're given newspapers and magazines to read during the flight. Tourist class is also called coach. The tractor pulls baggage carts to and from the airplanes. The tractor looks like a little car, but it has extra power for pulling heavy loads. The tractor pulls baggage carts to and from the airplanes. The tractor looks like a little car, but it has extra power for pulling heavy loads. Tray tables on airplanes are attached to the back of the seats. A passenger can lower the tray and use it as a table. When the passenger is done with the tray, it can be raised back up out of the way. A trunk is usually larger than a suitcase and has stiff, square sides. Like a suitcase or duffel bag, it's used to carry things while traveling. The turbofan jet engine is a newer design. It operates like the normal jet engine, but the fan in the front sends some of the air around the engine, cooling it down and letting it run faster. The engine powers the fan once the engine starts, which makes the fan run faster and pushes air into the engine faster. The turbofan engine is used when noise and fuel use is important, so they are used a lot on commercial jets. Underfloor containers are used to store cargo during a flight. They keep the cargo from sliding around while the plane is moving. The underfloor stowage area is where baggage is stowed or stored during the flight. Both luggage and underfloor containers are kept here during the flight. The cargo hatch is the door to this area. The view screen, or monitor, lets the security person check baggage as it travels through the X-ray machine. He or she can see what's in each bag by watching the screen. A walkie-talkie is a radio set that lets workers in different parts of the airport talk to each other. It is battery operated and portable, which means it can be carried around easily. A wheelchair is a seat that is attached to two large wheels and one or two small wheels. When a person's legs don't work very well, it can be hard or even impossible to walk. Wheelchairs help people who have trouble walking get wherever they want to go. A winch is a machine that is cranked or turned to lift heavy loads. By turning a rope or chain around itself, it can lift much heavier objects than someone pulling on the rope could. Usually, one end of the chain connects to the winch and the other to a hook. With the hook attached, the winch can lift even big items and put them in place, like a heavy jet engine. A window shade adjusts the amount of light coming in through a window. If the sun is too bright, the shade is pulled down. To let more light in, the shade is put up. Like the windshield on a car or truck, the windshield on an airplane keeps wind, rain, and snow out of the cockpit. Windshield wipers wipe away rain and moisture, keeping the windshield clear for the pilot. Windshield wipers wipe away rain and moisture, keeping the windshield clear for the pilot. Wind socks look like big socks. At the airport, they are attached to poles, and they wave through the air when the wind blows. Pilots and air traffic controllers watch the wind socks to see how hard the wind is blowing and from which direction. This helps them decide which runways are safest for takeoff and landing. Wind socks look like big socks. At the airport, they are attached to poles, and they wave through the air when the wind blows. Pilots and air traffic controllers watch the wind socks to see how hard the wind is blowing and from which direction. This helps them decide which runways are safest for takeoff and landing. The wings on an airplane help it fly. When the airplane goes through the air flows over the wings and lifts the plane. Without wings, the air wouldn't be able to lift the plane up so it could fly. When air flows over the airplane wings, it provides lift. The air pressure lifts the airplane up, making it possible to fly. When air flows over the airplane wings, it provides lift. The air pressure lifts the airplane up, making it possible to fly. Passengers who carry luggage on board with them have to have it X-rayed first. Airports use X-ray machines to see what's inside each bag. The bags are checked to make sure no one brings a weapon or a bomb on board. Passengers who carry luggage on board with them have to have it x-rayed first. Airports use x-ray machines to see what's inside each bag. The bags are checked to make sure no one brings a weapon or a bomb on board. Ailerons are movable flaps on the wings of a plane. The pilot can raise or lower them together or one at a time to make the plane tilt to the left or right while in the air. This is called banking, and it helps the plane turn left or right. The air nozzles on a plane aim or direct air toward the passengers. They work like little fans or air conditioners. Each person can turn the air nozzle above his or her seat, letting just the right amount of cool air blow out. The air traffic controller works in the airport's tower. This person tells the pilots when it's time to land or take off. By making sure the planes come in and go when it's their turn, the air traffic controller keeps the airport running smoothly and safely. The Airbus Industries A310 is a commercial jet. It is over 153 feet long from nose to tail and measures 144 feet from wingtip to wingtip. Its engines can run the plane as fast as 556 miles per hour, although for long trips it usually goes no faster than 515 miles per hour. The A310's cabin is big enough for 210 to 265 passengers, depending on how many seats are put in. Airplanes have been around for less than 100 years. The first planes were almost all made of cloth and wood. Today, planes are made of metal and plastic. Airplanes are heavier than air, but can fly because of their propellers or jet engines. Both jets and propeller planes are called airplanes. Planes have large wings and a long body called the fuselage. At the back of the plane is the tail, where the fin and the tail planes are. The airspeed indicator is a dial that shows how fast the plane is flying through the air. Today's jetliners, or jet planes, can reach speeds of 580 miles per hour. An aisle is a long, clear path where people can walk. In an airplane, the aisle runs from one end of the cabin to the other, so that the passengers and the people who work on the plane can walk easily and safely through the plane. The altimeter is an instrument that tells the pilot how high the plane is flying in the air. The height a plane flies is called its altitude. The attitude director is an instrument that lets the pilot know if the plane is flying level with the ground. It shows that the plane is tilting to the left or right. It also shows that the plane is pitching, or pointing up toward the sky, or down toward the ground. The autopilot is an instrument that can be set by the pilot to automatically keep the plane flying in the right direction. This allows pilots to take a break from the controls and get up and stretch their legs during a long flight. An awning is a little roof, usually made of cloth, that can be rolled up or down. Sometimes there are awnings over the curbside baggage check area at the airport. The awning shades the sidewalk by blocking the hot sun. It also protects the passengers and airport workers from rain and snow. Backpacks are special bags that are made to be carried on a person's back. Books, extra clothes, and even a snack are often carried in a backpack. Backpacks usually have adjustable straps that fit over a person's shoulders. Backpacks are special bags that are made to be carried on a person's back. Books, extra clothes, and even a snack are often carried in a backpack. Backpacks usually have adjustable straps that fit over a person's shoulders. Baggage carts are like little wagons that are made especially for holding luggage. Suitcases can sometimes be heavy and hard to carry, but if they are put on a baggage cart, they're easy to move around. Baggage carts are easy to push and are a great help moving lots of heavy luggage. When all of the luggage is unloaded from the airplane, it is sent to the baggage claim area. This is where the people come after their plane ride to get their luggage. When all of the luggage is unloaded from the airplane, it is sent to the baggage claim area. This is where the people come after their plane ride to get their luggage. A baggage handler is a worker at the airport who makes sure the luggage gets to the same place as the passengers. The pusher moves the luggage onto the right conveyor belt, but the baggage handler takes the luggage from the conveyor belt and puts it on the baggage cart or into the underfloor stowage area on the plane. Baggage tickets are attached to passengers' luggage. The city name on the ticket shows which plane the luggage should be loaded onto, and the number on the tickets match a number on the claim ticket given to the passenger. When the plane lands, passengers go to the baggage claim area. When they see a bag that looks like theirs, they check the number on their claim ticket to see if it matches the baggage ticket. This way, they won't accidentally take someone else's bags. Baggage trailers are stacked with luggage to load onto the plane. When the plane lands at the next airport, the luggage will be unloaded from the plane back onto the baggage trailers. Then, the luggage is taken to the baggage claim area and returned to its owners. Barricades are used to keep people out of certain places. They are like fences, but they're portable, which means they can be moved around. The Bell Jet Ranger 2 is a 5-passenger helicopter. Its fuselage measures about 31 feet. It doesn't have a wing-to-wing measurement because it doesn't have wings. But because of how far its long top rotor and small back rotor stick out, the Jet Ranger actually is over 38 feet long. Its rotor blades can move the helicopter through the air at speeds up to 134 miles an hour. A bench is a type of seat that is long enough for 2 or more people to sit on. Benches are usually found at airports and other places where there are likely to be a lot of people. Beverage is another word for drink. On an airplane, flight attendants often serve beverages to the passengers. Many people choose juice, soda, milk, tea, or coffee as their beverage during the flight. Binoculars have powerful pieces of glass called lenses. The lenses magnify things or make them look larger so that people can see objects that are far away. In the tower, the workers use binoculars to keep an eye on the airplanes as they fly in and out of the airport. A bird cage is a house for pet birds. A bird cage usually has a perch inside, which is for the bird to sit on. Some bird cages have swings, and some have mirrors, too. Canaries, parakeets, cockatiels, and lovebirds are some pet birds that live in bird cages. Blankets are fabric covers that people use to keep warm, usually when they're resting or sleeping. They come in many sizes, but most are a rectangular shape. Small blankets are kept on airplanes for passengers who get too cold. The Boeing 747 is a commercial jet. It measures over 231 feet long from nose to tail and is about 195 feet from wingtip to wingtip. It can reach a traveling speed of up to 607 miles per hour. The 747's cabin is big enough for a whopping 496 passengers, depending on how many seats are put in. Books are very popular to take along on airplane trips. That's because people have plenty of time to sit and read on their flight. Scary, funny, and even exciting stories can be found in books. Books are wonderful adventures to faraway places, and they can help people learn lots of fun new things. Border ropes are used to keep people out of certain places. The rope is a thick cord that is attached to 2 poles. It is portable, which means it can be moved easily from one place to another. Border ropes are used to keep people out of certain places. The rope is a thick cord that is attached to 2 poles. It is portable, which means it can be moved easily from one place to another. A bus takes people from place to place. It travels on roads, but it is bigger and longer than a car and has lots of seats inside. People pay money called a fare to ride the bus. Buses usually travel from one place to another at the same time along the same streets every day. This is called a bus route. The cabin is the space inside an airplane where the passengers sit. The cabin is divided into first class and tourist class areas, made up of rows of seats. Also in the cabin are the overhead compartments, where pillows and carry-on luggage go. The cabin is lined with windows, so passengers can look out during the plane ride. The cabin light is just like a hallway light at home. It lights up the area below it. The cabin light is just like a hallway light at home. It lights up the area below it. The cabin window lets passengers see outside the plane while they are flying. This way, they can see what it looks like flying high above the clouds. C. The cabin window lets passengers see outside the plane while they are flying. This way, they can see what it looks like flying high above the clouds. Cars are a handy way to get from one place to another. They come in lots of different shapes and colors. Some small cars can only carry 2 people. Big cars have room for several people. Cars can also carry luggage, groceries, or boxes in the trunk. Another word for car is automobile. Car rental companies have many kinds of cars that they rent to people. This means people pay to use the car for a while. When a person is done using the car, they give it back to the car rental company and someone else can rent it. The trunk is a roomy place in a car, usually in the back, for holding things. An extra tire, called a spare, is usually found in the trunk in case the car gets a flat tire. Luggage, boxes, shopping bags, and groceries are often carried in the trunk of a car. The cargo hatch is the door to the storage area under the plane. Luggage and other large items that are stored during the trip are placed on the plane through the cargo hatch. Luggage that is unloaded from the airplane is sent to the baggage claim area, where it comes out on the carousel. The carousel is big enough to hold lots of luggage. The carousel slowly goes around in a circle, carrying the luggage past all of the people. This way, people can easily find their suitcases. Carry-on baggage is any luggage or package that passengers carry with them onto the airplane. Sometimes passengers like to keep their baggage with them. If the baggage is small enough, they can carry it onto the plane. The cash register is used to add up how much a customer buys. The cost of each item is entered into the cash register, and then a total comes up. This tells customers how much they must pay for the items they buy. Seaplanes can be used as commuter planes. The Cessna single-engine seaplane has a propeller in its nose that can let the plane reach speeds up to 185 miles per hour. The plane measures 27 feet from nose to tail and over 35 feet from wingtip to wingtip. It has seats for up to 6 passengers. A chain-link fence is made of heavy steel wire. It is used to keep people and animals out of certain places. Since it is not solid, it's easy to see what's on the other side of the fence. A chair is a type of seat with a back to lean against. Some chairs also have armrests on each side. Chalkboards are made from a smooth rock called slate. People write messages on the chalkboard with chalk, which comes from a soft powdery rock called limestone. The chalk can be erased easily, so chalkboards are good for leaving messages that people only need to see for a short time. Chalkboards are sometimes called blackboards. Charts are maps of routes or flight paths that airplanes fly. These are like imaginary roads in the sky. Charts are kept in the tower, and pilots carry charts as well. The clerk operates the cash register and runs the newsstand. People looking for a certain magazine or book can also ask the clerk for help. The clock lets people know what time it is. The clock has a face, which is the front of the clock with numbers on it, and hands, which are the long bars that point at the numbers. The big hand on the clock is the longest one, and it tells the minutes. The little hand lets us know the hour. A closet is a small room where things can be stored until they're needed. The closet in an airplane is used to hang passengers' coats and store some of their carry-on luggage. Clouds are tiny drops of water or ice that stay together in the sky. The drops are so small that they aren't heavy enough to fall from the clouds. When they grow bigger and heavier, the drops fall as rain or snow. When water freezes around falling snow, the snow turns into hail. The cockpit is the place in the airplane where the pilot and co-pilot sit to fly the plane. In the cockpit is the flight deck, a panel of dials, switches, and controls that are used to fly the plane. Coffee is a drink made from coffee beans, the seeds of coffee plants. Coffee is a dark brown color, like the beans. Many grown-ups drink coffee. It is usually served hot, but can also be served iced or cold. There are many different types of planes at an airport. Although there are smaller commuter planes for short trips, most passengers go to the airport to ride commercial jets. These planes can hold 100 or more people and can go hundreds or thousands of miles without having to get more fuel. Because of their size and the equipment they need when on the ground, commercial jets cannot land at small airports. When passengers want to take a short trip, it is often better to use small commuter planes instead of commercial jets. Being smaller, commuter planes use a lot less fuel and can use almost any airport. Commuter planes usually carry no more than 50 people. These planes can be small jet planes or planes with propellers. A compass is an instrument used to show direction. On the face of the compass are printed 4 directions: north, south, east, and west. A pointer, called a needle, floats in a liquid inside the compass. The needle is magnetic, and it always points north. When you turn the compass so the needle lines up with north on the face, you can then see where south, east, and west are. Computers hold lots of information or data in their memory. People can put new information in a computer, organize it, save it, and find it again whenever they want. Computers are used in companies, in schools, and at home for work, fun, and learning. Games are especially fun to play on the computer. The Concourse is a commercial jet, often used for flights across the Atlantic Ocean. From nose to tail, it is over 203 feet long, and from wingtip to wingtip, it measures 83 feet. Its powerful engines can run the plane faster than the speed of sound. In fact, It can go up to 1,354 miles per hour, more than twice the speed of sound. One reason it can do this is the special drop nose that the Concourse has. The cabin holds from 128 to 144 passengers, depending on how the seats are arranged. The control tower is where the air traffic controllers work. They are the people that tell the pilots which way to go when they're landing or taking off from the airport. The control tower is always up high at the airport, and it always has windows on all sides. This way, the people working inside can easily see where all the airplanes are. The pilot uses the control yoke to fly the plane. The control yoke is used to adjust the ailerons, tilting the plane to the right or left, and the elevators, which move the plane up or down. Conveyor belts are used for moving things over a short distance. Since the ends of the belt are connected, it loops around and doesn't stop unless the power is shut off. At the airport, conveyor belts are used to move the luggage from the ground up to the plane. When the luggage is loaded, the conveyor can be moved out of the way, so the plane can take off safely. A conveyor belt also carries baggage through the X-ray machine and into the baggage claim area. The co-pilot shares the work of flying the plane with the pilot. A crate is a heavy-duty box made of long, thin wooden slats. Crates come in many sizes and are often used to hold big items, like furniture. A crosswalk is a special lane marked across a road that shows the best place to cross the street. When people are in the crosswalk, cars and other vehicles must stop. This rule helps people walk safely to the other side of the street. People who walk on sidewalks and across crosswalks are called pedestrians. A cupboard is a place to store things. Cupboards have shelves and doors so that the things don't fall out when the plane moves. A curb is the edge of the sidewalk, where the sidewalk meets the street. When passengers are dropped off at the airport, it's handy to check in at Curbside Check-in. They can check their baggage so they don't have to carry it with them through the airport. They can also check in for their flight. Behind every airline ticket counter is the customer service agent. This person can sell tickets, check in luggage, arrange for seating, and look up information on other flights. The McDonnell Douglas DC-10 is a commercial jet. It is over 181 feet long from nose to tail and measures 155 feet from wingtip to wingtip. Its engines can keep the plane flying as fast as 575 miles per hour. Depending on how the cabin seats are put in, the DC-10 can handle from 274 to 380 passengers. A desk looks a lot like a table. In fact, tables are often used as simple desks. Both have flat tops and legs that hold the top off the ground. A true desk will also have drawers or compartments to store papers, pens, or other things used for writing. A dock is a walkway that goes from the shore out over the water. Seaplanes park at the dock so that passengers can get on and off without getting wet. A dock is also called a wharf or a pier. People often take their dogs with them on trips, even to the airport. When dogs or other animals travel by airplane, they ride in a special container called a pet carrier. This container keeps them safe and comfortable during the flight. Donuts are sweet ring-shaped treats eaten for breakfast or for a snack. They go well with a glass of cold milk. Donuts are sweet ring-shaped treats eaten for breakfast or for a snack. They go well with a glass of cold milk. The door latch is used to open the door and to close and lock it. The Concorde has a drop nose that is specially designed to cut through the air at high speeds. Since the Concorde flies faster than the speed of sound, this nose design is very important. The pilot lowers the nose when it is time to land, so he can see better. Ducks are birds that can swim. They have webbed feet to help them swim and dive for food. Their bodies are covered with lots of soft feathers to keep them warm and dry when they swim in cold lakes and ponds. Ducks usually have large flat bills, too, and short legs. We often call them both ducks, but really only the female is a duck. The male is called a drake. A duffel bag is a cloth suitcase shaped like a tube. Duffel bags come in all sizes, but most have a shoulder strap for easy carrying. The dumpster is a very large garbage can. The galley service truck puts all the garbage they take off the plane in here. When the garbage truck comes by, it only has to empty the dumpster instead of a lot of smaller containers. Elevators are movable flaps on the tail of the plane. The pilot uses them to control the airplane's pitch. The pitch is the up or down direction of the plane. When the elevators are raised, the plane tilts up and climbs higher in the air. When they are lowered, the plane points down and flies lower. The elevators are kept flat when the pilot wants to fly level with the ground. An escalator is a stairway that moves, but only in one direction. When people want to go upstairs, they ride the up escalator. If they want to go downstairs, they have to ride the down escalator. The escape chute is used to get passengers out of the plane quickly and safely in case of an emergency. The chute inflates or fills up with air, and the passengers slide down the chute to the ground below. The fin stands straight up from the top of the tail. It helps keep the plane stable and steady while it is flying. The rudder, which helps the pilot turn the plane to the left or right, is on the back of the fin. The fin stands straight up from the top of the tail. It helps keep the plane stable and steady while it is flying. The rudder, which helps the pilot turn the plane to the left or right, is on the back of the fin. Fire extinguishers are used to put out fires. They are portable, which means they can be moved easily from one place to another. Most fire extinguishers have special chemicals inside, which help put out or extinguish fires. The fire truck is always ready in case there's an emergency at the airport. On board the truck is plenty of water and foam for putting out different kinds of fires. The truck also carries ladders, axes, and other special equipment. The firefighters at the airport work hard to put out fires and help people who are injured. Airplanes usually have two separate sections for passengers. Most passengers fly in the section called tourist or coach class. The other section, called first class, has bigger seats and more legroom. Passengers who fly first class must pay more for their tickets. Flaps are extensions of the airplane's wings. They are usually kept tucked into the wing during flight. During takeoff, they are extended by the pilot to help lift the plane into the air. When the pilot is ready to land, the flaps are used to slow the plane down. Flight attendants are the people in charge of taking care of the airplane passengers. Flight attendants know about safety on the plane, can answer passengers' questions about the flight, and help make passengers feel comfortable on their long trip. On some trips, flight attendants serve food and drinks to passengers. The flight data recorder stores all of the information about each flight. It keeps track of the instrument readings, the time, and everything said by the pilot and co-pilot. It is made of a special, very strong material, so that if there is an accident, the information can help people figure out what happened. The flight data recorder is also called the black box. On some airplanes, a person called a flight engineer helps the pilot and co-pilot by operating the radio and keeping the temperature comfortable for the crew and passengers. The engineer also monitors the mechanical equipment, like the engines and the landing gear. The floats on the bottom of the seaplane keep it from sinking. They also make it possible to take off and land on water instead of a runway. A flotation cushion is a cushion that floats. There is one cushion for each passenger on board. In most planes, the seat cushion can be removed and used as a flotation cushion. If the plane has to make an emergency landing in the water, the flotation cushions help keep the passengers afloat or above water until help arrives. Airplane engines run on a type of fuel called kerosene. The kerosene is stored in fuel tanks on the airplane. The tanks are huge in order to hold plenty of fuel for long flights. Fuel trucks are like portable gas stations for airplanes. When an airplane lands, the fuel truck drives to the plane and fills up the fuel tanks. This gives the plane plenty of fuel for its next flight. The fuselage is the main body of the airplane. This is where the passengers sit and where suitcases, boxes, and packages are stored during the flight. The kitchen on an airplane is called a galley. The galley has enough room to store food and beverages for everyone on the plane. When the plane lands, the galley service truck brings more food to the plane's galley. During the flight attendant fills the service trolley from the galley before offering food or beverages to passengers. The galley service truck delivers food and drinks to the plane for each flight. It also removes the dirty dishes and empty food containers from the flight before. A garment bag is a special piece of luggage specially designed so that travelers can carry clothes on hangers. Inside the bag is a hook for the hangers. By hanging up clothes instead of folding them, people can keep their suits, blouses, shirts, or dresses from getting too wrinkled. Garment bags sometimes have extra pouches for shoes and pockets for other clothes. The gate is the place in the terminal where passengers board or get on the plane. It is also where passengers on an arriving flight disembark or get off the plane. People hold on to handrails when they walk on ramps and stairways, so they do not trip or fall. The hand truck is a useful device to move crates and parcels. The hand truck has a flat platform at the bottom with two wheels on one side of the platform. The hand truck also has a vertical support with a handle on it. When a skycap or baggage handler wants to move an object, they slide the hand truck's flat platform underneath and lift the hand truck back. With the object now above the ground, the hand truck rolls around on its two wheels. A hangar is a place where airplanes are parked to be cleaned or repaired. Hangars are like great big garages for airplanes. A hangar is a place where airplanes are parked. Hangar doors are high and very wide so that airplanes can taxi or drive in and out. This hangar door opens and closes like a garage door at home. A headset is a device that is held against the ear by a headband. It sends and receives telephone and radio messages. Workers in the tower use headsets to talk to the pilots as they fly in and out of the airport. Wearing the headset leaves the workers' hands free for other jobs. Helicopters fly with the help of blades or rotors that spin around. Helicopters are very good for doing many jobs, especially lifting and lowering things straight up and down. Helicopters can easily move heavy crates. They are also used to rescue people who are lost at sea, or stuck on a mountaintop, or in a flood. A helipad is a flat landing surface made especially for helicopters. The helipad often has a big H on it, so the helicopter pilots can see it more easily from the sky. Big hooks are used in airplane hangars to help lift or pull heavy objects. The hook may be used to lift a heavy jet engine or part of the fuselage. Hooks are also used by helicopters to lift and carry heavy crates. Airports send out radio waves to guide pilots to the airport. One of the uses for the horizontal situation indicator is to display if the plane is on course or not. Another purpose is to help with the compass. As the plane travels through the air, the compass needle will sometimes make a slight mistake. The horizontal situation indicator helps the pilot realize the mistake and keep the plane flying in the right direction. A hot plate is like a mini stove. Food and drinks are kept on the hot plate to keep them warm until it's time to eat. The interphone is used by flight attendants during the flight. They can make announcements to the passengers. Talk to a flight attendant at the other end of the plane, or talk to the pilot. The jet engine gives power to a jet plane so that it can move fast enough to take off into the sky and fly. Jet planes fly faster than other kinds of passenger planes. The jetway is a covered ramp that goes from the gate to the airplane's hatch or door. When there's no jetway, passengers use stairs to board the plane. The joystick lets the pilot control the pitch or tilt of the helicopter's rotor blades. By tilting the blades in different directions, the helicopter will go up, go down, or hover in one place. The joystick is also called the collective pitch control. A ladder helps people reach high places. Ladders are usually made of wood or metal. To reach something high, like a conveyor belt, a worker climbs up the ladder. To get back down to the ground, the worker climbs down. Each step on the ladder is called a rung. The wheels on the bottom of the plane are called the landing gear. They let the plane roll safely on the ground during takeoff and landing. Once the plane is in the air, the landing gear is raised into a well inside the plane. The gear is lowered again when the pilot is ready to land. Lockers are used to store small items like jackets, purses, wallets, or briefcases. Lockers always have a special place for a lock on their doors. This way, the items inside can be locked up and kept safe until they're needed again. The Tower Logbook is the official record book of what happens at the airport every day. Workers write down in the Tower Logbook which runways were used, who was in charge in the tower, what equipment was broken, and any emergencies that might have happened. Car keys, baby blankets, glasses, maps, books, and even teddy bears can be accidentally lost at the airport. If someone finds a teddy bear, they can turn it in, which means they give it to the worker at Lost and Found. If someone loses their teddy bear, they can go to Lost and Found to get it back. The containers that hold the things we travel with are called luggage. Luggage can be garment bags, suitcases, parcels, or even pet carriers. Luggage is also sometimes called baggage. A magazine is a printed collection of pictures and stories on certain subjects that people are interested in. There are special magazines about sports, video games, nature, even flying. Some magazines are just for kids. Many airlines print their own magazines and put them in the seat pocket for passengers to read. These magazines usually have maps that show which cities the airline flies to. The magazine rack is a handy place to keep magazines on the airplane so they're easy to find. A map is a drawing of an area that people use to find their way around. A map of a city shows where all of the streets are and which directions they go. Following a map is a good way to keep from getting lost in a new town. The marshaller signals directions to the pilot. This helps the pilot safely steer the big plane on the ground as he or she brings it to the gate. Meal trays hold meals for the airplane passengers during long trips. Flight attendants offer meals to all the passengers during the flight, taking them from the service trolley. Preparing the meals on meal trays makes it easier to serve each passenger and to clean up after the meal. A mechanic is a person who has been trained to repair machines. At the airport, mechanics take good care of the airplanes to keep them flying safely. If an airplane part breaks or wears out, the mechanic knows how to replace it with a new part. By keeping the plane in tip-top shape, the mechanic makes sure that it will fly smoothly and safely. Passengers and airplane crew members have to walk through a metal detector before they get on a plane. The metal detector is a machine that is used to find or detect metal weapons. When a person is carrying something metal, the machine makes a loud beep. Then the person has to step aside and empty his or her pockets. Sometimes house keys and coins are enough to make the machine beep. Microwave ovens cook food very fast. And because they are small, they are handy on an airplane. Microwave ovens are used to reheat food, thaw frozen food, boil water, and cook meals in a hurry. A mirror reflects or shows back whatever is in front of it. People use mirrors to see how they look. Most mirrors are made of glass. Some mirrors have frames around them and are hung on a wall. Some small mirrors, called hand mirrors, can be held while they are used. Stairs are made up of steps. By walking up each step in the stairs, people can go from one level to another. Mobile stairs are sometimes used at airports, so people can walk from the ground up to the airplane door. The stairs are then moved out of the way until they're needed again. A newspaper is a printed collection of stories about the latest events. Most newspapers are daily, which means they come out once a day. People read newspapers to keep up to date about what is happening in their town and around the world. Some airlines give newspapers to their passengers. The papers can be folded and tucked into the seat pocket when they are not being read. The newsstand is where newspapers and magazines are sold. Some newsstands also sell books and candy. People who use computers for work sometimes carry a small computer when they fly, so they can work on long trips. These small computers are called notebook computers. They run on batteries and are small enough to fit on a person's lap. Oil drums store oil, which is used to lubricate or grease parts on the plane. Lubrication makes parts slippery, so they turn and slide easily. This makes them work better and last longer. An overhead compartment in an airplane is used to hold small items like jackets, purses, and small suitcases. People must put these things in the overhead compartment to keep the aisles clear and to keep their things out of the way of other people. An oxygen mask fits over the nose and mouth to help a person breathe. The mask is connected to a tube that carries oxygen. There is an oxygen mask for everyone on board an airplane. If the plane loses oxygen during an emergency, the mask drops down from the ceiling, ready to be strapped on by each passenger. A parcel is something that is wrapped and taken from one place to another. A parcel is also called a package. The parking attendant helps customers as they leave the airport. The attendant operates the toll gate and collects money that must be paid for parking at the parking garage. They also give people directions to help them get around town. Parking garages are big buildings with room to park many cars. They are usually built at airports and other busy places, such as shopping centers or near office buildings. A passenger control unit is above each set of seats on an airplane. It has controls for turning on reading lights, adjusting the air from the air nozzle, and calling a flight attendant. Payphones are telephones that people must pay to use. Most payphones have a special coin slot, like a piggy bank. When you put the right amount of money in the coin slot, the phone will work, and you can make a call. Peanuts are not really nuts, but are part of the legume family, which includes beans and peas. Peanuts are a favorite snack served on airplanes. A pet carrier is like a little traveling house for pets. It has a solid floor for animals to rest on and is big enough to give them room to move around. Using a pet carrier is the safest way to take animals on a trip. When animals fly in an airplane, they must always be in a pet carrier. The phone book lists the addresses and phone numbers of people in the area. The white pages of the phone book has people's home addresses and phone numbers. The yellow pages list stores and business numbers. The phone book is in alphabetical order. That means that all the names that begin with the letter A are listed first, then the letter B second, and so on, all the way to the letter Z, which is last. Pigeons are birds that are often found in parks and in parking lots. Pigeons make a cooing sound, have short legs, round little bodies, and they wobble when they walk. Pigeons prefer building their nests in protected areas, like under bridges, roofs, or inside buildings. Pillows are soft cushions that passengers rest their heads on if they want to take a nap. The pilot is the person who sits at the controls and flies the plane. It is the pilot's job to make sure the passengers and cargo arrive safely at the airport. Sometimes a pilot is helped by a second pilot called a co-pilot. The pilot seat is where the pilot sits to operate the controls and fly the plane. The Piper Chieftain commuter plane uses 2 propeller engines rather than jet engines. It measures over 34 feet from nose to tail and over 40 feet from wingtip to wingtip. Up to 10 passengers can fly through the air at speeds up to 240 miles an hour on the Chieftain. Some airplanes are powered by piston engines. The engines spin the propellers, which pulls the plane forward. The faster the engine spins the propeller, the faster the plane goes. Piston engines are also the type of engines found in cars. The plane door is the normal entrance and exit door for passengers. Before the plane takes off, the door is closed and the latch moved to lock the door. When the plane lands, the plane moves up to the jetway, which will completely surround the door. Once again, the flight attendant uses the door latch to unlock the door. The door is opened and passengers can get out of their seats and exit the plane. The postcard rack holds many different postcards. Many postcards have a picture on one side and a place to write messages on the other. Postcards are often mailed to friends, but people also get them so they can remember the places they've been to. The postcard rack allows customers to see all the postcards easily. Posters are paper signs that give people information. Some posters have pretty pictures on them and are printed with lots of colors. Other posters just have words on them and are very plain. A pre-board screener or security guard makes sure everyone goes through the metal detector and puts their carry-on luggage through the X-ray machine on the way to the gate. They make sure that no one brings anything dangerous with them to the gate or on board the airplane. Some airplanes use blades called propellers to move forward. The propellers are driven by an engine that makes them spin very quickly. The shape of the propeller is designed so that as it spins, it pulls the plane through the air. A purse is a small bag that people carry with them. Many purses have handles or shoulder straps and are made of leather. Some are made of cloth. A comb, a small mirror, tissues, and a pen or pencil are often carried in a purse. Once the passengers are on board and the baggage is loaded, a vehicle called the push-out tug pushes the airplane away from the gate. Then the plane can taxi or roll slowly to the runway. The pusher is a machine that pushes luggage onto the right conveyor belt so that all of the luggage from one flight ends up together. A device called the scanner reads the baggage ticket on each piece of luggage and tells the pusher where to send it. The radar scanner is in the nose of the plane. It uses radio waves to locate other planes in the sky. The radio waves flow out from the scanner, hit the other plane, and then bounce back like an echo. Radar also tells the pilot if bad weather is up ahead. The radar scope is the screen that shows other airplanes and thunderstorms that have been detected by the radar. The pilot uses the radio to talk to the air traffic controllers and other pilots flying nearby. The radio can also help the pilot navigate or stay on course by tracking radio signals from the ground. This radio is called the NAVCOM, which stands for Navigation and Communication. The reader board keeps passengers updated on all the flights. It shows which flights are arriving or coming in, and if they're on time. It also shows which flights are departing or leaving the airport. Reading lights give people plenty of light, so they can read books, magazines, and newspapers. On the airplane, each seat has its own reading light up above. Passengers can turn the light on if they want to read, and turn it off if they don't need it. A refrigerator keeps food and drinks cold. Keeping food in a refrigerator helps it stay fresh longer. Refrigerators come in many different sizes. Some refrigerators, like the ones in airplanes, are very small and can sit on top of or under a counter. Other refrigerators are as big as a room. The restroom on an airplane is like a bathroom at home, but it usually doesn't have a shower or bathtub. The restroom has a sink, which is also called a wash bowl for washing hands. It also has a toilet. Another word for restroom is lavatory. A roll-up door rolls up instead of swinging open from the side. It is on a track so that workers can roll it up and down with ease. Roll-up doors are used when the door has to be kept out of the way. The rotor blades of a helicopter spin around or rotate to lift the helicopter into the air. Because the helicopter has rotor blades instead of wings, it can fly straight up into the air and can turn easily. Rotor blades allow helicopters to hover, which means they can stay in one place above the ground. The rudder is on the back of the fin. Using the rudder and ailerons, the pilot can turn the plane to the left or right. A runway is a long strip of land used by airplanes when they land and take off at the airport. Runways are flat and smooth, so the planes can take off and land safely. Most runways have lights on either side so that planes can take off and land at night. Another word for runway is airstrip. Along the side of each runway are runway edge lights. The runway edge lights are placed all along the runway and shine on it. The lights help the pilot see the runway when it's dark, foggy, or in rain or snow. Scaffolding is used to help workers get to high places. Workers at the airport can climb up on the scaffolding to wash windows, paint, or do repair work on the plane. A scale is used to weigh packages and luggage before they're put on the plane. Everything is weighed because there is a limit to how much weight can be added to the plane before it is overloaded and unsafe to fly. Luggage checked in at the airport is given a baggage ticket with a barcode on it. The barcode has special symbols that say where the luggage should go. The scanner is a machine that reads the barcode to find out which airplane the luggage should be loaded onto. It sends the information to the pusher. A seaplane is a special kind of plane that can land and take off from water. Seaplanes can stay on top of the water because they have floats underneath that keep them from sinking. A seaplane is sometimes called a float plane. A seat is something that a person sits on. A chair is a type of seat. Benches and sofas are also kinds of seats. On an airplane, each passenger is assigned his or her own seat for the trip. Seat belts keep drivers and passengers safe. Seat belts hold people in, close to their seat. This way, they can't fall out of their seats if there's a quick stop or an accident. Now there's something I can't do when I fly. Sleep. Some guys have all the luck. Sometimes there's closets on airplanes to store stuff like hanging suitcases and coats. Also, the flight attendants use them to store their supplies. Over there are the restrooms. Every plane has at least 3 of them, and they can be used by passengers at any time. Except, of course, when the fasten seatbelt sign is lit up. It's a good thing that fellow's wearing his seatbelt. Must be that the pilot hasn't turned off the fasten seatbelt sign yet.
Hello, hello.
I fly for a living, and I wouldn't know where to begin with all these buttons and switches. That's why they put a pilot and co-pilot in charge, rather than a bug like me. Planes need gas to go, just like cars. But instead of stepping on a pedal, the pilot pulls back on that throttle that sends gas to the engine. The pilot and co-pilot face the same kinds of controls. That way, they can take turns driving the plane without having to trade seats. Every cockpit has a radio, but it's not the kind that plays music. This one is a two-way radio that lets pilots talk to the air traffic controllers on the ground. When the plane is on the ground, the pilot controls the plane with a steering wheel, just like a car. But once the plane takes off, he switches over to using that control yoke. This plane is getting ready to take off. That little yellow push-out tug is about to push it back from the gate. The push-out tugs help the airplanes back up until they can drive forward by themselves to the runway. The gray truck right there is the Galley service truck. Galley is a fancy word for kitchen. The back half of the truck moves way up high, so the food for the passengers can be quickly loaded through one of the plane doors. That's the jetway over there. It's like a hallway that lets passengers walk from the gate to the airplane. The gray truck right there is the Galley service truck. Galley is a fancy word for kitchen. The back half of the truck moves way up high, so the food for the passengers can be quickly loaded through one of the plane doors. It's the runway, where the planes take off and land. It looks pretty busy today. After all the passengers are on the plane and the door is closed, the plane taxis or drives over to the runway, where it takes off, heading up, up, and away. Only one jet at a time can take off on the runway. If there's more than one, they line up and take turns. Big airplanes need long runways because they have to build up speed to take off and room to slow down when they land. It's the runway, where the planes take off and land. It looks pretty busy today. It looks like this 747 must have just landed. The marshaller, he's the guy with those flashlights, is guiding the plane to one of the jetways so the passengers can get off. Most big jet airplanes have at least 4 emergency exits with slides that pop out, just in case the passengers need to escape quickly. But believe me, stuff like that doesn't happen too often. Now here's an amazing fact. When the Wright brothers flew the very first airplane back in 1903, their flight was so short they could have done the whole thing inside a 747. In big city airports, over 500 planes take off and land in a single day. Check out this airplane. It's a Concourse jet, the fastest passenger airplane around. The Concourse can go 1,300 miles per hour. A regular jet airplane takes 6 hours to fly from New York to London. With the Concourse, it takes only 3 hours. The Concourse is the only commercial jet that flies faster than the speed of sound. Not even I could keep up. When this plane goes at full speed, it makes a lot of noise. So pilots only fly it that fast over the ocean. That way, the noise doesn't hurt the ears of any folks down below. Here we are in the boarding area of the Concourse jet. Too bad we don't have tickets. I'm ready for a vacation.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Flight 715 to London. We hope you'll be having a pleasant...
This is where the passengers sit. That flight attendant in the back must be getting things ready for the takeoff.
Once the pilot has turned off the seatbelt sign...
That must be some song that woman's bopping to. Sometimes on airplanes, the flight attendants pass out headsets so that passengers can listen to music or a movie. Flight attendants take care of the passengers and know all about safety on the airplane. At the beginning of every flight, they remind passengers of the rules on the airplane, like wearing seatbelts during takeoff and landing. This is where the passengers sit. That flight attendant in the back must be getting things ready for the takeoff. Would you take a look at this cockpit? There's more buttons, switches, and dials than I've ever seen in my life. I'm glad the pilots have it figured out, because I wouldn't have the foggiest idea how to fly this plane. The pilot is the person who's in charge of flying the plane, and the co-pilot helps out the pilot. This is a small plane that's sometimes called a commuter plane, because people can commute or travel short distances in it. There's the control tower over there. That's where the air traffic controllers are. It's their job to tell the pilots when they can take off and land their planes. The people who direct the airplanes from the control towers are called air traffic controllers. When planes take off, air traffic controllers talk constantly with the pilots on two-way radios until the plane is safely taken off into the air. Air traffic controllers use all kinds of instruments, radios, radar, signal lights, and a whole lot of other stuff to help the airplanes when they take off and land.